Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into our video. Today we're going to be reviewing the Mizuno Wave Rider 23 and how it held up through 300 miles of training. Now, as I mentioned in my Diodora review, I'm a big fan of the Wave Rider. I've had one in my rotation since 2013. So the most recent rendition is the 23. This is a neutral running shoe. I wear a size 12. So when it came out of the box, it weighed 12.1 ounces. After 300 miles, it weighed 11.9, so lost 0.2 ounces. It has a 12 millimeter drop, which is fairly aggressive. So the heel is 12 millimeters higher than the toe box. It costs $120. So the integral part of the Wave Rider is, you can see this Wave Rider plate. That's where its namesake, and it's covered, the plate's covered by what Mizuno calls a euphoric rubber, and this is the heel cap is euphoric X blown rubber. So that leads us to the fit. Some of the tweaks they've done with the 23 is they've narrowed down the ankle collar. This has double mesh uppers. They made a smaller toe cap, blended it in with the rest of the shoe. They've gone with flat laces, and the eyelets have changed a bit, though I did purchase another 23 and that has a different set of eyelets as well. But nonetheless, you know, when I put it on from day one, it felt really just as nice, firm, snug, kept me nice and straight, and even after 300 miles, it felt just as good when I put it on. The only thing I'll say, now I have narrow feet, and I don't know if it's because the toe box got smaller or just the mesh uppers, but when I do cinch it down, it did tend to crease up a little bit along the front. But again, 300 miles later, it felt just as good as day one. So the ride. The goal of every running company is to produce a shoe that strikes that perfect balance between reflectivity versus cushioning, right? So if you have more cushioning, you're going to have less reflectivity, and vice versa. So this is what the Wave Rider plate here in the heel is designed to do, is to cushion your landing and then also propel you forward. I find that Mizuno, for me, has struck the perfect balance for that. Now, one of the things that you might want to also consider is what you're using it for. If it's just an everyday running shoe, comfort, but if you're ever doing speed workout, you may want to do one that has higher reflectivity, because you're not going to be on them as long, versus the cushioning. Now, there's no doubt that it lost a little bit of both the cushioning and the reflectivity from the first day we had them. Now, I would say for the reflectivity, it was probably just a gradual decline. Probably the second day wasn't as good as the first. Not that you could notice it, but again, if you're going to do a trend, I would say by the end, after 300 miles, I'd say it's probably maybe 85% of what it was on the beginning. Now, interestingly, I found the cushioning, that seemed to hold up just fine for probably about 200 miles. And then after that, then it did start to drop off, and I wouldn't notice it until after I had several. There's more on my longer runs, and I could just started really, you could feel the surface more beneath your foot than you could in the beginning. But I mean, all that being said, it's still a great shoe even after the 300 miles. So the grip was just as good at mile 300 as it was at mile 1. Honestly, I've never had shoes that seem to have poor grip, but I don't do a lot of trail running. It's mainly road and crushed gravel. But the big question is the durability. Now, again, we said this compound on the sole, is their brand name is Euphoric. So this is euphoric rubber, and then what they put for the heel cap, they call it euphoric X. So I'm a heel striker, so you can compare now the wear. This is a brand new Mizuno 23. There's really not all that much wear on it. There's less wear than I'm used to. I think some of the older Mizunos, after 300 miles, if you look at them, there, especially here in the heel, that you can see where it's really rubbed off. This has held up fantastic. So I would tell you, even after 300 miles, maybe I lost some of the reflectivity and the cushioning, but the shoe stability was kept up for all 300 miles. So the look of the shoe, again, a personal preference. I'm actually not that big a fan of this two-tone blue, but don't really look at my feet much when I'm running. I do like the smaller toe cap, and I also switched and put the Wave Rider nameplate on the heel. It used to be along the side. So to wrap it all up, the Mizuno 23 is a nice improvement on the 22. Still one of my favorite running shoes. It held up fantastic after 300 miles. It was a little bit of loss in the cushioning and reflectivity, but you're going to have to expect that. But it still was very solid, and I'll probably keep using it for a few more miles, maybe another 50 miles. We'll see. So up next, I bought my first pair of On running shoes. I bought the Cloud Surfer. Now that shoe is meant more for shorter distance and speed. Doesn't have the cushioning, so it'll be interesting to see how those hold up after 300 miles. Thanks very much for watching. If you have any comments about the Mizuno Wave Rider, go ahead and put them down below. If you want to know when we post our next video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. So thanks again, and keep racing the nation.